Okay, hello guys. Today our topic is about number 3. Okay, it's our third lesson in IGCSE Mathematics. Okay, so let's move into the first part about powers and roots. Okay, so let's move to this part. So I guess you're not very familiar with power because power is not very usually used in our daily life. Okay, but I guess you know that the square or cube, right? Like 2 square. You maybe heard the word square. Okay, so the number square right here is on the head of 2. We consider 2 square as 2 times 2. Okay, like 2, there are 2, and they make a product with each other. Okay. So like here, 1 square means 1 times 1. So the final answer is 1. And 2 square means 2 times 2, and the final answer is 4. And if you have 3 square, it's 9, because 3 times 3 equals to 9, okay? And also for here, 4 square, 5 square, 6 square, 7 square, and even to the 15 square, okay? So these are the square numbers. That means that we have like 1 times 1 just means 1 square, like n times n means n square, okay? So we can using like here, using n squared 2 on the head of the n to represent for square numbers, okay? And for cube numbers, we can call this a cubic for n, okay? So like here, like 1 cube, we can set here is 1 times 1 times 1, and the final answer is 1, right? And at the second, formula here is 2 times 2 times 2, that means 2 cube, and here the answer is 8, right? So 2 cube here is 2 times 2 times 2 equals to 8. And for 3 cube, you can set is 3 times 3 times 3. And the answer is 27, right? And 4 cube is 4 times 4 times 4 equals to 64. And 5 cube equals to 5 times 5 times 5. There's 3 5s. They times together and they make a product with each other, right? So this is how we calculate the answer. That is 125, okay? And for 10 cube, and the answer is 1,000, okay? So that is for the powers and roots. We can set maybe for this, we can just represent and to calculate for several numbers like square numbers and cube numbers, okay? Okay. So like here, we can set for square numbers and cube numbers, we can just using another way to understand it. That is a square and cube roots. It's like maybe for 4 times 4 times 4, that is 4 cube, right? And the answer is 64, okay? This is a symbol for the cubic, 4 cubic, and here is the final answer for the 4 times 4 times 4, right? So if you want to using 64 the answer to find what cube is 64, you can using a square root to calculate this. So you can add it like here, because that is like maybe I can guess it's like a parachute. You can find like here is the shape and added a 64 under it. Okay, that is like we're just making a cubic root for this, okay? And that means you're going to find one single part number, like 4, that the 4 cubic goes to 64, okay? So this is an inverse operation for the power, okay? So like here, you also have square root. So square root, like here, we have square root 36, that the answer is 6, okay? That also means like 6 times 6 is 36, and this is inverse operation for the number, okay? So that is for square and cube roots. I guess it's not very difficult for you, okay? So here's a note for you to remember that. Like here, if you want to solve the equation like x squared equals 25, and please always remember that we have two values to choose. Like we have to choose positive 5 or negative 5. Because for negative numbers times negative numbers and the final, the number, the negative symbol before the numbers will like delete. Okay, there's only a positive after this. And here's, because that is positive 25. Okay. That is for the product for two negative numbers, okay? And here is an estimating root because some values cannot be calculated very easily. Maybe you can use in the calculator to calculate the square root 50, but if you doesn't have a calculator, you can use in a way to try to solve this, that is find the range. Because we knew that 50 is bigger than 49 and is smaller than 64, right? And 49 equals to 7 squared, right? So it means here, 7 times 7 equals to 49. And we can set like square root 50 bigger than 7 and smaller than 8, right? So we can set maybe square root 50 maybe equal to 7.3 or 1 or 2 point and many like digits after this. Okay. So you can find the estimate here. Final answer is 7.1. Okay, that is for estimating the roots, I guess. Also for these problems, maybe in the IGCSE, we don't need to master it at all, but it's very important. It's a very important idea for you when you like trying to solving some like A-level problems or even like IB problems. I guess it will help you to do so. Okay. So also like here, the order for operations with powers. And last time we maybe for the first lesson we just talked about the operations, like the order of operations, like right, with the like plus, negative, and maybe for the product, and maybe for the like power, and maybe for the brackets, right? So every time you are just calculating, please make the calculation in the brackets at first. So here you can find there is -3 squared. So please first calculate that is -3 times -3. That is this meaning. But if there's no like brackets, you can just calculate the power at first. So here, -3 squared, that equals to -3 times 3 is -9. But for -3 squared, you can write in a brackets on the two part of this. You can say here is -3 times -3, and the final answer is 9. Okay. So here we can set this as case A and just calculating for this. And if you have this like -3 squared versus -3 squared, also like this way, and you can just calculate, you can find the final answer, like 9, and then it's 9. Zero different. And also you can some practice for you to do so. Okay, so can you try to solve in for these problems, please? Okay, I guess it's not very difficult for you. Okay, so for the first problem you can find here is calculate 12 squared minus like cubic root for 27, right? So for the first part is 12 squared, and we can set the answer here is 144, right? And for the cubic root for 27, we can set like 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. So here the final answer is minus 3, right? So here the answer is 141, right? Okay. And the second problem is to like estimate the value for square root 98, right? So meaning that 98 is bigger than 81 and smaller than 100, right? Because 81 equals to 9 times 9, okay? So maybe don't afraid that maybe it's the first time you're not very familiar with correlation for square, but after you operating for many, many times, you will just know that, understand and remember that 9 times 9 equals to 81, okay? And also for 100, because 8 equals to 10 times 10, okay? So here, like square root 98 is between 9 and 10 because you're just because square root also for the 81 and 100. Okay, so maybe the final answer for 98 is like 9.8 or 9.9. Okay, that is the final answer. And for the third problem, to evaluate this lab value, first we have to calculate the power, right? This is before other operations. So here is for 4 plus 2 times 9, and the other is 4 plus 18, that is 22. And the first question is to find which is larger, and we can say that like first is 2 cube, and then it's for 3 square. And for 2 cube, and here's 8, and for 3 square, we can say 3 times 3 is 9, right? So 3 cube is bigger than, 3 square is bigger than 2 cube, right? So here is, like we can say, on the right is bigger. And the final answer, like final question is to evaluate for 95 square plus -2 cube. So 95 square, we can say here negative to put just along, and 5 square is 5 times 5 is 25, right? So here's for -25. And for here, -2 cube, we can set this -2 times -2 times -2, and the final answer is -8, right? So here's -25 plus -8, okay? So the answer here is for -33, okay? So that is for this problem. I guess we can understand for this. Okay, the next part is about laws for indices. Okay, so what is for laws for indices? Let's make a brief understanding for this. And here you can find in this formula we have am times an, and the answer is am plus n, right? Okay, this is for multiplying. Okay, and how to understand this? Because the power m for a, we can just consider as there's like m n comes together, and here's like a lot of a right here, and the total number for a is m, right? So we can say this is for a m's, right? And if you're timing like a n's, we can just consider here there's n's a, and here total number for the a's, we have m plus n, right? So it equals to a times all of a's, and here is m plus n, right? That is it. So we can say this is multiplying formula for AMs times ANs, okay? And also for division, it's also like the same value and same the formula, like AM first to divide the ANs. And here is AM over AN, and the answer here is AM minus N, right? So here is also like this way, you can set, oh, we have M's A and over the N's A, and the answer is AM minus N, okay? So you can just solve in some examples like this. Here we have x cubed times x fourths. So here is for x cubed plus 4, right? And here the answer is x sevenths. We have 3x times 4x. So there's total number for x is 7. So here is x sevenths, right? And also for here, 2 fives over 2 squared. And the answer is 2 5 minus 2, and it's 2 cubed, and here is 8, okay? And also for this calculation, you can first put in the coefficient between before them and to make a product. And here's 3 times 4. And here's also we have to time in like here y squared times y fifth. And the answer is here's 12, and here's for y seventh. Okay, so the final answer is 12 times y seventh. That is for multiplication and divisions. I guess here is very important. We have to understand this because in many times in IGCSE, we have to understand for multiplying and division. Okay, so that is for today's our lesson. So see you next time. Bye.